Name variables. Does anybody use name variables here today? No? Not one? This is going to be the biggest thing you can learn from today. So let's have a look at what we can do. In our models, instead of referring to a cell, we can give a cell a name. In this word case GST, and we can use that in our formulas. So let's say GST has got the value of 12.5%. We can have a formula that says H10 times GST rather than referring to a cell. We can also create variables. So let's say this is our cell, C4, and over here we've got a base price of $100 and we want to add GST. Now most people would write a formula in this cell here which goes equals C4 times H4. Is that how most people would do that? Which is fine on this page because it's all pretty close, but let's have a look at an alternate way of doing things. Let's escape out of that for the moment. Let's put our cursor on that cell there. Now, has anybody noticed that there's a little cell right there? Has anybody actually noticed that little box? It's got the word C4 in it. It's actually called the name box, and if we put the cursor over there, you can actually see the word name box will come up. See it says name box? And what we can do is type in there and give the cell a name. So we're going to type in there and call the cell GST. We've given any name you like. All happy with that? Pretty easy, wasn't it? And if I drop down in the name box now, you can see it's actually listed the word GST. Get back to our formula. I can now say equals H4 times the word GST, and we get the right answer. So it's actually, Excel knows where we are. Here's a question for you. Where are we today? Whereabouts are you people today in the world? Auckland. Whereabouts in Auckland? Parnell. Whereabouts in Parnell? Nichols Lane. Whereabouts in Nichols Lane? Number 15, right? Or last night we could have been over at the Sky City, right? My point is, and let's say I went to the Sky City last night because I like to dabble occasionally. If I asked anybody in Auckland or New Zealand, where is Sky City? Where would they say? They would just. If I was in Hobson Street, whatever number 100, you look for the thing. But if I said I was at number 100 Hobson Street, if that's where Sky City is, would people know where I was? And the answer is probably no. If I said I was at Sky City, you'd know exactly where I was. I was at the gaming table right there, making $1 million, right? Because the way we think about objects like that. We think about Sky City, we think about Nichols Lane, we think about the Auckland Harbour Bridge, we think about Eketahuna, where I come from. Those are all names. And we can use the same thing in Excel. Rather than referring to cells like C4, which means absolutely nothing, we can refer to things like GST. Or we can refer to the Sky City as being a place, even though we don't know it's at 100 Hobson Street, we can think about Sky City as an object. And that's what we're doing here.
What I've just got from this is that you can actually set up a page with all your assumptions like
Yes,
this,
you can.
all your base assumptions.
Yeah.
Create those C4 cells,
Yeah.
give them names.
Yeah, right.
And that's your reference now for the entire document.
Exactly. Great. Let's go and prove that, Peter. We're going to go to sheet 2. And we're in the middle of nowhere. And we've got our base price called... No. This is the $100 I took into Sky City, right? And I need to work out the GST content. I'm going to put a dollar sign for you. If I now multiply J13 times the word GST, and I get the right answer, $112.50. Because it goes back to this page here and says, I know where the GST cell is. It's in cell C4 on reference page. Go back here, and here it is here, because we gave it a name. Is that cool? So let's say I'm on page 3 now, and I go up to my little name box. You can see the box up the top there, it's got name box. I drop down, it says GST. I click on it, see what happens. Bang, the cursor's gone all the way back to page 1, back to C4, and I can say the GST is now 1.15, and all the formulas have changed. You can see that price has changed on page 1. On page 2, we've now got the price changed. Right, so I didn't have to know. I mean, I could have used the formula and said reference exclamation mark C4, which is what most people do. But in my opinion, reference colon C4 is meaningless. The word GST has a whole lot of meaning to us. Yes?
It doesn't matter what page.
No, it doesn't. No, anywhere at all. As long as it's in that name box. And we're going to do another little trick here as well. Now that we're here, No, it's there. It's been there forever. This little box there has been there forever. Right, we're going to come to that now. Right, so let's say I'm going to use these in the formula later, but let's say we've got this type of fruit as Peter pointed out. We're going to highlight the range, and on the little name box up here, I'm going to give it a name. What sort of name would we give it?
Fruit.
Well, that's pretty boring. That's a real estate answer. I want a sort of what's the word? A bit of variability or excitement or who? Exotic nectar. Well, that's a pretty cool name. Well, I wouldn't like to comment. But you see what I've done. Okay, don't Google search. Right. So you can see what I've done. Actually, I'll just move the cursor for a moment. In my little box up here, I've put the word exotic. I use the underscore for a space because it's you can use space, but it's better to put a character there. Underscore nectar, and I hit the enter key. And in my little drop-down box, you can now see I've got two. I've got exotic nectar as a name and GST. And if I'm on page 3, it doesn't matter where I am in my model, if I still go to that box, you can see the word exotic nectar. I click on that, and it takes me back, and it highlights the whole range. We're going to use that in some formulas later, but I just want to get the building blocks here. So using names is a fantastic way in your models. For people who are not accountants and don't relate to... So if I wanted to refer to the fruit, exotic fruit, I don't need to know that it's from C12 to C17 on page reference, you know, which most people do. I just say, go to exotic fruit, and we go straight there. How's that? Is that cool? How many people got an aha? A few? One. My objective today is everybody to get an aha, so we're still counting.